Hi, it's Ashley from AB Sound Advice. Today we are doing a product preview on the Active Series DLS ACW10 Underseat Subwoofer. Now, obviously active. This is something very cool. I've been waiting to do this one because the reviews all around the world that I've seen, all the information I've heard about this underseat sub, as they say, it's one of the best sounding underseat subs in the world. So that's a big statement. So I thought, well, when we did this preview, what could I notice that would be different? So, well, first off, we'll go and have a look at the woofer itself. So if you actually have a look in here, I will give you this. That is a very, very nice construction. There is no argument. It feels good. It's got a nice feel to it, nice and solid. So I would say from a visual perspective, it definitely looks something substantial. So again, this type of product, you've got to be aware when you're putting subs under seats and you're using this product in the rear of a vehicle, you must understand it's never going to be like a subwoofer in a major, like in a subwoofer box or an enclosure or the bigger type product. This is designed to go under seats, generally under the driver's seat if you're the sole driver. You can put two of these in. You can put one under the passengers, one under the drivers. You can also put them in the rear of the vehicle, in a wagon or a hatchback potentially. Probably not so beneficial in the rear of a sedan where there's a metal cavity or a metal wall between the front and rear. It would be a real struggle to even know it's going. But with that aside, the things that stand out for me that is the build quality. I mean, there's no argument. DLS being a high fidelity company, they haven't left anything to chance there. It definitely does. It reveals the attention to detail, like all their products that they do. So what I'll do is, just before we go there, we've also got the subwoofer level, bass controller, so to speak, cables for high level in, brackets for mounting, and of course the sub cable. It also has the auto power on feature. So you can either use the memory wire, so effectively you've got power, earth, and memory would come as the ignition comes on. It can turn on and off with a stereo, or if you like more of an auto situation, you're running it off the rear high outputs off a pair of speakers, or you've tapped into a pair of speaker cables. You might decide to put the auto power on, so as soon as the music comes on, it'll automatically turn on, and when the music stops, it'll power off after a length of time. The other thing is obviously it has a phase, so you can actually, and that's actually pretty cool. I haven't noticed that on any of the other underseat subs that I've played with, so it may well be there, but I haven't noticed it. So that's a pretty cool feature. You can again put it out of phase. In some circumstances that would be a very beneficial thing to have. It's got the low pass filter, so you can adjust the frequency. You've also got the bass optimize and of course the input gain. From the rest of it all, it's looking like an 8 gauge power kit would be the right size for that. 25 amp fuse lets me know that it's got a reasonably good amplifier. And looking at their information on the box, they're saying we've got 200 RMS of power, 450 max, impedance 2 ohm. Those are all good signs that we've got something very, very substantial. Now, the other thing I was going to just go through and remind you guys too is just remember that all the DLS stuff, as you know, they've been around for over 40 years, designed and engineered by DLS in Sweden, and they really have done a fantastic job. I mean, it's very heavy, it's got a good feel to it, and this type of product, the weight does play a big part because we've got to get a reasonable amount of bass in a very small area. So I would say that this will not disappoint. We'll just give you an upshot of looking down on that product, and you can see what I mean. It really is a superb product. So again, if you'd like to know more information about this item, you can visit hifihq.co.nz for New Zealand or hifihq.com.au for Australia. And again, because DLS is all over the world in 50 countries worldwide, you should be able to find somewhere locally that will be able to provide that information. But again, this type of product is more designed where you really don't have any options. There's nowhere to put a woofer in the rear or anywhere in the car. So an underseat option is the way to go. And of course, being DLS, we've got a musical underseat sub. So if you're looking for, and what I'd be saying is you're buying some of their high-end components and they're just lacking a little bit in the bass, this will just balance that off. So I would, if you get this balance with a really nice pair of front stage and rear, and you're just looking for a little bit of bass fill, this type of product would work really well in that aspect and in that sort of arrangement. If you're wanting more than that, of course, then you'd have to look at other options. But for a powered under-seat sub, this is definitely very substantial. It's a very good build quality, and I think looking at this, I don't think you'd be very disappointed if you did actually have to go down this road. But again, thank you for tuning into AB Sound Advice, and I do hope you enjoyed today's preview.